Podstream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com.
We're going to see it, people. It's now a best of three. Welcome to the show. The Oilers win a big comeback in overtime. Leon Draisaitl gets the goal. So much to break down, and there's so many decisions by both teams. Lack of decisions. Let's get into it on our great podcast tonight. Obviously, it's brought to you by our title sponsor, Play Alberta. Why choose Play Alberta? Just ask any hockey fan who love odds boosts, player props, and same game parlays, or slot players who love the massive jackpots, or lottery players who can grab last minute tickets on the go. Deposit today and get a $50 free bet code with code GYB04. Visit playalberta.ca. I'm sitting here. I got home. I was at the game, everybody. I took my wife. Date night. And I'm back in the home studio, home audio office. Brought to you by Adrenaline. And Adrenaline Diesel is a Caterpillar recognized and authorized dealer and repair facility. For expert service for your Cat engine, visit adrenalinediesel.ca. Best of three. It's a best of three. Now, we're going to do things a little differently. We have a Ryan here, but it's not Ryan Rishaug. We've got our main man, Ryan Marsh, with us, former head coach and going to be a head coach again. Very knowledgeable hockey player and coach. I guess just Marshy, welcome to the show. We got Zuby's here as well. Boys, let's start with you, Zubes. As a fan, did you take a breath in overtime and the end of third period?
I stood for all of it, so I had enough sitting down. I felt like sitting down wasn't helping anything happen, so I stood up for the comeback in game one that was eventually thwarted. I stood up for the late goals in game three, so I thought it's time to stand. So I stood for the last little bit of the third period and all of overtime, and it was worth it.
It was a crazy game. Marshy, do you look at it with a little bit of emotion, or are you just like, hey, what are these guys doing? Good and bad.
No, I would say there's some emotion there. The fan comes out in me, for sure. Tough start, tough first half, but that's why we watch this game. That's playoff hockey is just unbelievable. You think that you've seen it all, and then you have a game like tonight again where you think it's over, and next thing you know, it's a massive win.
Massive win. So now we have, Winnipeg today lost to St. Louis. So that's a 2-2. We know who else? The Oilers now are tied up 2-2. Colorado, Dallas is 2-2. Just incredible. So some of these series are going to go the distance. It's going to be a battle, absolute battle. So this is all we got going. We got Marshy and I and Zuby here for a little while. Then we got Ryan Rishaug, who's taping up a couple hits for his for TSN. He'll be joining us in a little bit. And then Rob Brown as well will jump in. So we'll have everyone on deck here to kind of break down a massive 4-3 overtime win by the Oilers over the Kings. It was crazy. They're down 3-1. They come back and make it happen. So let's get to it now. In our breakdown, brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. Only at your Alberta Ram dealer during the month of April. Get a Cummins turbo diesel engine and no charge when you purchase a 2024 Ram heavy duty truck. That's up to $94.50 in value. This offer won't last. See your dealer today. All right, guys. Lots to get to, and let's just go through a little bit. Just to everyone understands where the goals are. The Oilers come out, Marshy, and I thought that there could have been 2 goals by the Kings right away. Right away, there was a couple missed plays, but they didn't get scored on, whether they're lucky or it's good saves. Then Trevor Moore gets one in the first period to make it 1-0, and that's how it ended. Then you get into the second period. Warren Fogle scores early in that one. People weren't even back in their seats yet. And then Corey Perry gets one, short time later to make it 2-1. And then Kevin Fiala, this guy's having a series, 3 goals. He gets another goal to make it now 3-1. So heading into the third period, it was 3-1. The Oilers are being quite heavily outshot. And it looked to me like the Kings were in full control of the game. They were up ice. They were forechecking. They were, clogging up the neutral zone. And the Oilers looked like they were having a tough time getting to the middle of the ice. What did you see at 3-1 heading into the second period intermission in this game?
Yeah, well, I thought that a little bit of that started in the second, a little bit of them, pulling back a little bit and maybe forechecking up ice as much as you maybe saw early in the game. I thought you started to see a little bit of a trend, and a lot of it was off of, just dump-ins and dump-ins to like the far blue, where it wasn't all the way down, but a lot of times they were just fine to go into almost like a 3-2 forecheck. I had, some guys texting me saying, "Are they in a 0-5 forecheck right now?" Like it was really like it was just odd. Like they were backing off, and but that being said, they were being very effective at it because, again, they were in structure. And they were forcing, the Oilers to give up possession, and they were very clean on their breakouts. I thought, as that second period ended, and even early in the third, they weren't getting much zone time. The Oilers are much going on, and it was working. And I've seen it a few times during the course of the series. It wasn't like it was brand new tonight. Even Game 3, there was a little bit of them backing off and stacking that blue line. And there's something to be said with having 5 guys above the puck. That's good defense, and making them have to come through all 5 guys. But it seemed almost more exaggerated tonight at times. Worked well, and then as the third wore on, the Oilers started to get some chances off the rush, catching them out of structure a few times, which was good. But again, they started to get pucks in deep, which isn't always exactly what they want to do. But as you know, Struds, when you force, and again, you'll probably talk about it, when you're playing 4D and you're continually have to pivot and go back for pucks over and over and over again, you start to get worn down. And I think that's when we started to see, the game to get tilted a little bit.
100%. So in the third period, the Oilers outshot the Kings 16-6. And this is what I believe happened, is that they got satisfied with the idea that they're just going to sit back and make the Oilers break through this wall. And they weren't forechecking. The only time that I thought that they took the puck in the third period up the ice was when they could carry it off the rush. Maybe there was a counter punch. Maybe an Oiler fell down or something like that. Then they were in the offensive zone for, pretty quick, just a little skirmish. And then they would back off. Now, if they dumped it in, they weren't even trying to forecheck. They were just sitting back. So for those of you that didn't watch the game, basically it was like it's a 1-2-2. So you're right. It was even at times a 2-3. I saw a few times where there was 4 Kings lined up on the blue line and one player up front trying to just steer a guy to slow him down. So what happened is the Oilers just started, they were skating. You could tell they wanted full control. The D-man would get at the top of their circles, and then 1 or 2 forwards would swing behind them. They try to maybe hit a far side so someone could maybe hit the blue line with speed and chip it through. And they started getting in there, and they started coming, and they started getting chances. And I think the more that happened, Marshy, I think the more the LA is like, okay, it's okay. We're not going to get up. We're just going to sit back again, because there was almost zero forechecking pressure. And I think this is a huge mistake by the Kings. We've seen them do this in past years where they're just being patient. And I get if there's 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes left, I get it. But 20 minutes and then overtime, I haven't even talked about overtime yet. So I think this is a really dangerous strategy, and it did not work tonight. So we get to the third period. It takes about 7-8 minutes, and Evan Bouchard takes a shot, or there's a pass to Evan Bouchard. He shoots it, and it kind of goes off of, I think it was Drew Doughty's foot and into the net. So that makes it now 3-2. The place is rocking. Everyone's excited. They're refilling their cocktails. Now you get into crunch time. They're unable to get it. They're still shooting, getting pucks to the net. And now all of a sudden we're here, 28 seconds left, and Evan Bouchard gets unleashed an absolute bomb from the point. I thought it may have been tipped by Hyman. It wasn't. But what I loved is that they are like, we are getting pucks to the net. We're going to crash the net. And that's, to me, the most raw form of creating offense in the world, the history of hockey. Up to the point, pound it in there, try to get a shot, because he and Hyman are just teeing off all night. So maybe take us to your thoughts, those last two goals by a guy who, now has 4 goals in this series, in Evan Bouchard.
Yeah, well, again, it all starts with getting the puck in past the 1-4 or whatever it was, a 3-2, whatever it was called. It all starts with getting it in and then winning races to pucks. And that's, again, just to resist urgency. And it wasn't there the whole time. And again, you have to give the Kings credit. It's not just on the Oilers, but they've done a good job. But I do think there was a little bit of a fatigue starting to set in. And that the swagger that these guys seem to play with, that being the Kings, just seemed to start to deteriorate a little bit. And they got it in and they started getting pucks. I thought generally that was where the ice was for the Oilers tonight, was high in the ozone, off the rush. Even early in the game, there was lots of room up high in the ozone to the D. And it was a matter of getting pucks through from there, which again was difficult due to all the shots the Kings were blocking and doing a good job. But it was there for a lot of the game, and they just kept going to it. They just kept going to it, and finally they were able to get some pucks through, get to the net, get to the paint, and it's crazy, but it's as simple as it is. That's how you generate offense. That's how you generate offense. No matter how skilled a team you are, is just simply getting it into that area and being hungry and tenacious in that area. And especially on the third goal, that was what it was, just getting it down there, goes off a leg and goes in. And then the second one obviously is a 6-5 goal. But again, it's traffic, it's second or third chances, it's puck recoveries, getting the puck back numerous times and just continuing to wear them down. And eventually the dam breaks, and it did.
So now it's 3-3. The place is rocking. Everyone's excited at home or listening, whatever you're doing. Going to the break. Okay, so I'm sitting there, I'm talking with my wife, obviously a big date night, and I'm like, listen, I think that both teams are going to come out, they're going to try to win this quick. And my thought was that Jim Hiller was going to say, we can't sit back. We have to get on the forecheck. We can't just counterpunch. Well, I was wrong. That's why I'm not a coach in the NHL, because you go back and look at this overtime, the Oilers outshot them 17-7, and I'd be surprised if more than maybe 6 or 7 forwards actually got in the offensive zone against the Oilers. Of the Kings. They were sitting back every time. The Oilers D-man could have stood on the top of their circles and passed it back and forth without any pressure at all. This to me was a fundamental error by Jim Hiller. You're just sitting back and they're waiting for a counterpunch. They're waiting for a chance to get back. And they almost worked a couple times. They had some chances, but the Oilers had way more chances in overtime. Marshy, did you see the chances? What like as a coach, like, am I being too hard on Jim Hiller? Because to me, it looked like we're just going to wait for our chance instead of trying to create it, is what the Oilers were trying to do.
Well, Struds, for me, I think it starts with just going down to, essentially it was 4D. And that happened early on. Like once they got that lead, it's 4D, and it was 9 forward. Sometimes it was 8, because I don't think Kuzmenko was playing a regular shift when they were trying to protect that lead. So when you go down and again, you're going out over and over again, I thought there was a fatigue factor. So again, there's not the energy that they had earlier to get up and forecheck. What conserves energy? To stay back, pull back, and get into the trap, whatever you want to call it, a little bit. And so just going down to essentially 4D, 9 forwards, I think led to, especially in overtime, I just didn't think they had the energy or the jump. And they started to get worn down. So no, they're not going. And then eventually, like, I was so impressed. I was so impressed by, the staff at the Oilers to stick with the 4 lines. I don't think that Arvidsson, Podkolzin, or Janmark played a whole lot late in the third as they're trying to tie it, but boom, they're out there to start overtime. They're rolling 4 lines. They're keeping their shift short. And right there, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, they're going to win this game. Like, it's just a team that looked connected and had energy. And that was part of it, as far as I just don't think the Kings could get up ice to really get their forecheck established. They generated a couple of things off the rush, which they're still really good at. But as far as getting up and establishing that forecheck, like you saw early in the game, and if they were getting it out of the zone, they're trying to get a change. They're trying to get a change in a long change in the overtime, And so they're scrambling to get a change, which gave the Oilers opportunity to reset and reattack.
That's a really good point. So what you're saying is that it wasn't so much a tactical decision, it was an energy that affected their ability to get up and to be aggressive because of the minutes they played. I think that's a really good way of looking at it, because you look at their, just to be clear, people, one of their defensemen played 225. The other one played 11:58. So that means Edmondson played 36 minutes. Drew Doughty, 33 minutes. Who else we got here? We've got Mike Anderson, 34 minutes, and Gavrikov, 31 minutes. So four of their D-men played over 30 minutes. Like, that's men's league Thursday night at River Cree. That's what that is, right? When you play that much, right? Marcia, you can do it in good shape, but that's a lot. That's a lot of minutes. And then up front, again, to go through Trevor Lewis, he played 6 minutes. Sammy Helenis, 1 minute 44. And then Jeff Malott, 2:27. So they went 9 and 4 and a half.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And that is crazy. So let's go into our digital inbox here, brought to you by our good buddies at Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. Beat the rush on getting a new air conditioner for this summer. The team over at Weiss Johnson are already busy with requests for air conditioning, so don't wait. Specialize in servicing your existing mechanical systems or installing new ones. Weiss Johnson's here for all your home comfort needs. Visit weissjohnson.com today. Hit it.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
So we've been talking about the time the different players got to play. Let's hear from Connor McDavid on how he thought that played out for the LA Kings.
Yeah, they're relying heavily on 4D and kind of 9 forwards, and it's tough. Not to say that we're not playing big minutes too, but I thought we just wore them down. They like to absorb pressure. That can be taxing at times. And I thought you saw that tonight, just kind of wear them down, through the second half of that game, and just stuck with it. A couple huge plays. Bouch keeps that puck in, then he scores the goal. Obviously, Leo doing his thing. It was a fun win.
Chris Knobloch on the same topic. Hit it.
One, I thought we were executed with the puck a lot better, so we were able to just transport up the ice a little more, spend a lot more time in the offensive zone, but also, like, realistically, you have to look at just we're fresher, we're faster. Just with the amount of minutes our guys are playing compared to theirs, they're just hopefully that we can hopefully take it over. Like you saw it in overtime, how much faster and quicker we were, but just a lot less minutes, a lot less wear and tear. But you have to get to that point, and we almost didn't.
So there's Chris Knobloch talking about and McDavid talking about how much they think that it makes a difference, and it does make a difference. Those minutes, like Joel Edmondson, he cannot play the next 3 games at over 35 minutes. Now I know there's some overtime there, so that does make a difference, Marshy, but those guys can't do it. So now we get towards the end of the game. Gavrikov trips McDavid, I believe, and there were other opportunities to make calls, but that's the one they chose, and they got the power play, and I'm like, it's over. It's over. Get the fat lady singing. It's all over. Of their power play, the timeout, all that stuff.
Sorry, I lost you there for a quick sec. So what were your thoughts on just going into that timeout? It felt like they had all the momentum. I felt it was inevitable they were going to score on that power play. I thought it was all dialed in. They had worked hard to get that goal. Did you like the timeout? The timeout giving them a rest, giving those guys a rest?
I did, because it looked like they were going to put out another group, and everyone was kind of taking their time, and then all of a sudden you see them, boom, I'll take the time out. I like it in that moment. I think you give your best guys the chance. They've been all over them. Give them a chance. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I agree, but you're always kind of thinking, like, do we want to just, again, keep our foot on the gas here? Do we want to give them a chance? Like, just as we were saying, they were pretty gassed, and give them a chance to get reset. But I think when it's all said and done, you want to give your best players and your number one unit a chance to be fresh and take your chances. I thought it was a good call. and they did an excellent job. Like, it was, other than I think they lost the face-off again to start that power play, but quickly got it. LA is so good on their face-offs, just unreal. Especially in key ones like that. But they got it back in the zone quick. And, I don't know about you, Struds, but I just seen just a change in swagger with the teams. Like LA, even the way they were talking after game 3 and the way they started the game, they were so confident, and there was almost just an air of cockiness almost to their game. And it started to tilt and change. And by the end of the game, the Oilers were playing with that same swagger and that feel that we've seen at times when they're at their best. And you just knew that it was just a matter of time they were going to score.
Oh, that means we're over 1,000.
That's our official 1,000 on the stream. Although I'm getting conflicting numbers, but I got the one saying here 1053. That's the official 1,000 sound. Now we've also got, this is a bit of a cluster here tonight. Bear with us. Change some things up on the fly. We have Ryan and we have Brownie, and they won't have a visual representation right now, but we have Schauger and we have Brownie on the line for the first ever 4-pack here.
4. Okay, so we have all 4. So quite honestly, though, we have the best 2-looking guys on camera.
Yeah,
so that's what we want. There's not a lot of models over there. Schauger, Brownie, good to have you. I just want to jump right to Brownie right away. We just got to the point where we talked about the power play. At the end, they called the timeout. What were your thoughts as soon as they got there for that timeout? And now we sent out the big guys to try to get it done.
Hang on. Now Brownie just texted me and said I lost him. So I'll try to get him back. You can go to
okay.
Schauger.
Schauger, we've covered a lot of ground. We're right at the point with the power play. I felt it was confident. Like, they have the right group out there. They've been on tilt, and they've earned this because their power play of the last time got it done. What did you see and think?
Yeah, well, I'll actually go back to practice this morning.
Okay.
So we were at practice this morning, and Leon Draisaitl, he comes out onto the ice, and before practice got going, he goes and grabs Evan Bouchard and pulls him over to the whiteboard and goes over a bunch of stuff. And then he skates over to Corey Perry and pulls him over to the whiteboard and shows him some stuff. And then he goes over to Zach Hyman, and they have a chit-chat between the two of them, and they go over some stuff. I asked Chris Knobloch about it this morning, and he said, we had our power play meeting, and that's often when coaches will, implement some ideas and some thoughts. And then the next phase is for the players to discuss it themselves. And that's where they can kind of work together and say, here's how this is really going to work. And so what we've seen is a power play that didn't start very good, made some adjustments, found some success, didn't get satisfied, kept pushing. And I'm not saying that it was the set plays that got them the goals or anything like that. But bottom line, Marshy, when you have players taking the bull by the horns and getting themselves ready, and that kind of leadership from Draisaitl, even a power play that's been the best power play in the world, it's a work in progress, and one of the best in the world at it, kind of leading the way.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's a great feeling. Your team's in a great spot when those guys are taking over and they're having those conversations, whether it's on the ice or whether it's back in the dressing room or whatever it is. But it's a great feeling, and it's a sign of a team that's very, very connected and ready.
It's funny because
let's just do a quick check if we got Brownie now. Brownie, you good?
I'm good. I'm here.
Okay. Sorry, you can continue, Struddy. I just wanted to test that.
No,
go ahead.
Okay, it's great to have Brownie here. So Brownie, we've talked about quite a few things here already, but we're just talking about the power play at the end. I think that the power play having success in game 3, then scoring early in this one, or earlier than the overtime, I think everything is feeling towards that where they're going to score in that overtime power play. It was over. To me, it was over as soon as I got the call.
Oh, 100%. It was absolutely over. And I think the LA Kings on their bench knew it as well as soon as Gavrikov went off. And I heard you guys talking about it. And this is what I like about the coaching staff here in Edmonton, where they take input from their players on the power play. I've been on lots of different teams where the players have zero input. The coach puts into place, here's what we're doing, and let's go out and practice it. But the players are on the ice. They know, they see things differently. They see if there's lanes there. They see what they can and cannot do. So it's like, okay, here's what you see as a coaching staff. Now here's what we see. Now let's work around it. And I think what Gullickson does with the Oilers, he gives them kind of, okay, here's a template. Here's kind of what I want, what I like. Here's what I see is going to be successful. And then Connor and Leon, okay, let's tweak it. Let's tweak it to our strengths, where we can find other things. And the best part about Connor and Leon is there's no satisfaction with just being good. We want to be great. Okay, our power play was 2 for 5 last game. That's 40%. No. We want it to be 5 for 5. What can we do to make it better? What set plays? I've never been around. I've been on power plays my whole life. I have never seen a team have more set plays than the Edmonton Oilers do. They have set plays off faceoff. They have set plays off breakouts. Bouchard even let the cat out of the hat the other day with Leon. Here's what I'm seeing. These two players, Connor and Leon, can read the game like nobody else in the National Hockey League, and they tweak things to make it better. And yes, this power play has gotten better as the series went on because they figured out what LA was doing, and now they've combated with things that they can do to beat it. And tonight, they beat the LA Kings because their power play was better.
The flip side, guys, is the PK. And I know Brownie's got, you're always talking about the PK, but honestly, I think the PK looked really good tonight. And I think an important detail was that Bouchard was used in more of a primary role in the PK, and Wallman was used in mop-out time. Marshy, that small change or shift in personnel, it's pretty tough because I think Wallman feels he's a penalty killer, and I don't think Bouchard has historically been that, but quite a bold move by the coaching staff.
Yeah, it was, and it was a good one. It paid off. It was very interesting to see that. Bouchard hasn't played a lot on the PK over his time, and they made that change tonight. And you got a sure-handed guy back there when you win a face-off that it's going to get down the ice, which is good. And the other thing was they really were. We didn't really get a chance to see, kills later in the game, but they were really using 4 forwards. Primarily just 4 forwards, and when Janmark got that penalty, it was McDavid that filled in with Brown, I think, so they were narrowing down the personnel. We talked about that personnel, that needed to be connected, and tonight they certainly were.
All right, guys. Shug, are you close to home, buddy?
No, I still got a little ways here, pal. So you stay in the pilot seat and keep driving it. Whatever you think needs to happen, you've got it.
Okay, well let's just pause right here, and we'll get to Relentless, and then we'll take a pause, and then we'll come back and get into takeaways. We had Marshy for a long enough time. He's got a 5 a.m. workout tomorrow morning. I know he has to get too early, so before
on his 30K.
Yeah, it's 30K at 5 a.m. and then 5K at 30. So let's just get to Relentless, guys. You guys can all share it with me. A Relentless Player brought to you by UCAN Youth Services, an Edmonton charity relentless in helping youth age 16 to 24 get out of harm's way and get employment. Visit ucan.ca to see how your donation can change lives right here in our community. So I'm going, guys, Evan Bouchard. 2 goals, 9 shots, 6 that were missed. This guy was shooting all the time, and he did. Like, let's talk. I think it was the 3rd goal, bit of a flub up. They were able to get it up, but the guy kept pounding the puck. Brownie, Evan Bouchard, my relentless player. Thoughts on that?
He was, and it was not a good start to the game for Evan. He had some defensive blunders, but when the team was in desperate need to come back, he was out every second shift. And to me, the biggest play of the game, and possibly the biggest play of the series, was Evan Bouchard keeping the puck in the last minute of the play when Quentin Byfield was coming up the boards. If Byfield gets that out, Bouchard standing still, he's going to win the race, and it's probably an empty net goal, and the game is over and possibly the series. Bouchard not only kept the puck in with Byfield coming at him, he actually got the puck to an Oiler player to keep the play alive, and eventually, 15 seconds later, he's scoring the game-winning goal. But the play keeping that puck in, to me, may have cost the LA Kings the series and allowed the Edmonton Oilers that one break, that one moment where they can turn the entire series around. And that was all on the back of Evan Bouchard.
The thing
Awesome.
about the relentless player, Struds, like it doesn't have to be the guy who played the best start to finish, right? Part of being relentless is, when something goes wrong, you kind of got to shelf it and get going again. And Bouchard would understand, that was no good, right? He would understand that. He knows. And the other thing I like is you guys were talking about him on the penalty kill. I mean, he's still a human being. So when the coach comes to you and says, "We believe you can do this. Here, take the penalty killing ball because we believe you can do it, and go do it." I still think Evan Bouchard he's going to thrive when people put confidence in him like that. So relentless in that he overcomes a mistake to once again be an absolute clutch performer in the clutch, and taking on a role that he's not necessarily used to. Those other two elements to me are key.
Just a final note before we take a break here. Joel Edmondson led everyone on the ice with 34-47 even strength time. Like, that's
Yikes.
crazy. That is crazy that he played that much, but good on him. But that's a crazy stat. So we'll get to more of that in a minute. Marshy, thanks for this, buddy. Have a good run in the morning, buddy.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for letting me get to bed a little bit earlier tonight. Great to be on with you. And I would have been up all night after that win. It was, that was some fun
Great
stuff.
to talk to you, Marshy.
Enjoy the rest of the night, boys. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
You bet.
There he is, the great Ryan Marsh. All right, let's take a pause here. We'll kind of get reset and get into takeaways. And there's many, including goaltending. That's next year on the show, everybody.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
Choosing the right health and dental coverage can feel overwhelming, but Alberta Blue Cross is here to make it simple. Their user-friendly website features a free quote tool to guide you through choosing your plan, or you can chat directly with one of their specialists for personalized help. Every plan includes access to personal, nutritional, and financial counseling at no extra cost. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/personal to learn more.
Okay. Overtime winner. Overtime win, everybody. What a game. What a fun game to watch and be a part of. Now let's get to takeaways. Brought to you by Horizon Egg and Turf. Deer season is here and your trophy awaits at Horizon Egg and Turf. Make your trophy this season a brand new John Deere tractor. Save $4,000 off on select compact utility trailers. Visit us in store for full details. Horizon Egg and Turf, your local John Deere experts. Okay, let's go back into the digital sound box and hear Leon Draisaitl on Corey Perry. Guys, hit it.
Hold on one sec. I got to flip over. Okay, here we go. Here's Leon.
Well, I mean, what can you say? Like, he's just elite. Like, he's nearly 40 years old and he has an impact on every single game. Like, it's incredible. He's one of the smartest hockey players that I've ever seen. He's so unique in the way he thinks and plays the game that I honestly feel like he could play till he's 50 just because of his brain. And we'll see if the boots, keep up there. But I mean, he's just he's just a gamer. He just knows how to play the game.
That's a great line.
So good.
So funny. So let's talk about Corey Perry tonight had a goal, and I want Brownie's thought on that. 20 minutes of ice time, 4 shots, 4 hits, and lost a faceoff. But Brownie, the power play goal, he picks it up. He's able to kind of spin around, does a backhand shot, pucks in the air, knocks it over, knocks it down, and taps it in. Like, it's incredible how he impacts the game at his speed and how the thought process he has, Brownie.
Well, it's funny. The feet don't go as fast, but the brain still does. And that's why we talked the other day who I would put with Connor and Leon. It was easy, Corey Perry, because he thinks the game like they do. He understands the game like they do. They are 3 or 4 steps ahead of every other player in the National Hockey League. Yeah, Corey Perry can think at the same speed because he was that player at one time. And as Leon joked about, his boots aren't the same, and they're not, but his hands are still there, and his brain is still there, and his gamesmanship is still there. And the play that he made, like to bring the puck from all the way over left, pop it up in the air, cross the other side, and hit it into a wide open net. Not everyone in the National Hockey League can do that and have the confidence to do it. That was just beautiful. I mean, there was 2 plays tonight that were amazing. The Fiala catching the puck out of the air and going in on the breakaway, incredible hands. But that Corey Perry one's the same thing. That is just, he has, I mean, I'm going to talk about Perry and Brownie points, but he has given the Edmonton Oilers coaching staff the ability to build better lines 2, 3, and into 4, because no one expected Corey Perry to be on their first line. But he's been so effective. Corey Perry is one of those guys that when he retires, he'll be 65 and he will be playing in a beer league dominating, and he'll be chirping, and he'll fall on the goalie accidentally, and he'll score a goal. It's in him. He's a rink rat who wants to be on. I can't see him ever retiring, as Leon said, because the brain is always going to be there. And tonight, he was, again, one of the most effective players for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, and Struds, I'll go back to Knobloch again this morning. He was asked about swapping out Zach Hyman on the top power play unit for Corey Perry at times and why he does that. And it was, he said this morning that Perry probably has better hands in tight around the crease, right? And he was very complimentary of Hyman and his ability to dig pucks out, and he's as good as anybody out that. But he pointed to his hands in tight. And we see multiple times tonight, Struds, where that completely comes to fruition. The plays that Perry made were classic Corey Perry, high skill, just dirty, dusty plays in tiny little areas. And so it was kind of telling. Knobloch kind of nailed that. And it was interesting that we see 2 examples of that exact thing tonight, buddy. And I'll leave you with that. I'm just pulling up to the house, so I'll hop back in from inside in a few minutes, boys.
Okay. While he's doing that, let's get to our YouTube poll brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center. Golf season is here. Oh, yeah. Dust them off. Get ready for the season. New grips, new driver, heck, a whole new set. DeBoer's Golf has you covered. They're locally owned and operated. DeBoer's Golf has been in business for over 25 years, and they're here to help you play better golf. Visit them on the corner of 53rd Ave and 99th Street or at deboersgolf.com. Zoobs, take it. What do you got for us, buddy?
Okay, we haven't talked about this yet, so maybe we want to get into this. Maybe it's a short discussion, but it was certainly, I thought, seemed like it might be a pretty important moment in the game. Should the Oilers have challenged Warren Foegele's goal? Just a yes or a no question on the pod tonight. It certainly turns out nicely that they didn't need that, but that felt like that could have been pivotal, Struddy.
Yeah. What's your name? Rob Brown. Why don't you, what do you think of that? Because it was a heavy play by Foegele. Did you think that was worthwhile of a challenge?
No, I didn't. I thought it was the right decision by the coaching staff. I thought it was a hockey play where he was going around the goalie and his stick and the pad and the puck were all there at the same time. And then he just was progressing. And then the puck was there, he shot in the empty net. No, I thought it was the right call. I don't think you make a call unless you're 100% sure it's going to go your way. And I don't think that was 100% sure it was going to go the Oilers' way, and neither did Knobloch or the video coach. I think it was the right non-call. if it stands, and then all of a sudden LA gets the power play and extends a lead. So no, I think Chris Knobloch made the right decision.
Zuby, goalie man, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm going to toe the line and say that I do kind of think it was interference, but I don't know I would have challenged because I don't know if they would have won the challenge. I'm not sure how it would have been seen. It's a bang play. You really slow it down, then it looks like he gets a little stab on the pad to separate it before he slides the puck in. If as my goal in my goalie heart, I think it probably was interference, but I don't think they would have won the challenge.
Yeah, I don't think I would have challenged it at all. No, I just think Brownie, not sure the words you exactly used, but it was in the flow of play. I think it was kind of what she said, and I would agree with that. And because I looked at it, I was sitting there, so I didn't have a bunch of monitors, but I pulled it up on my phone after a little bit, and I was like, God, you want to call, but I just don't think I can. So I think it was a good choice by him. Him being the head coach, Chris Knobloch. So way on our YouTube stream, we have a great live stream till today. Thank you for tuning in. And for those who are going to listen to it tomorrow morning, which isn't very far away, if you like it, give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up on the YouTube stream. Tell some friends. We love having all you involved.
Hey, it's almost 1 a.m., right? Where you guys are. We're holding over 1,000 people in the YouTube stream, and coming up on 250 thumbs up. So keep them coming. We appreciate it.
Love it. Now, Brownie, I spoke a lot and at length. We've talked about the 9 forwards and 4D that LA are using. Mm-hmm. I want to get on the other side of that and talk about how the Oilers, they mished up the lines a little bit, but they had 5D playing for the most part, and they had a lot of forwards involved, not just in the 3 periods, but also in overtime.
Well, yeah, and the Oilers, very rarely have we seen over the last number of years where the Oilers are winning the line changes or where the Oilers are winning it's working. And to throw in even more so into this, the LA Kings are playing 4D. And they decide to play a prevent defense, which means you're playing your entire period in your own zone. And you know as well as I do, it's way more tiring defending than it is when you have the puck on offense. So now you got the Oilers who have fresher legs and are getting everybody involved, are coming out at a tired group. And as the game goes on and then it goes into overtime, huge advantage to the Edmonton Oilers. This is exactly what we saw for years with Edmonton, where they would play their same 8 guys shift after shift, and then it would go into the third period. Then it would go into overtime, and eventually the Oilers would get worn down and the opposition would win. Well, the Oilers are now winning that. And the big reason they're winning that is they have depth. And they've got players that they feel confident in, that they trust. And it goes back to, too, Jeff Skinner's not in the lineup. Jeff Skinner doesn't have the trust of being out there in an overtime period or somewhere where there could be a defensive miscue. The players that are playing for the Oilers right now in the lineup, Chris Knobloch has full trust in them. They might not all get 20, 25 minutes, but in the third period, there's 8 minutes to go. I'm going to put this guy out there. Oh, I'm going to have Arvidsson. I'm going to put Coles in. He's got trust that they may not score, but he's going to get a quality shift out of them. And yes, 100%, the Edmonton Oilers are winning that battle, and it's showing. And it's going to be even more so in Game 5, and then Game 6, and Game 7. The Edmonton Oilers are going to be much fresher as this series moves along.
Do we have Rishaug, or is he on the elliptical? Do you know?
He must be just doing 20 minutes on the elliptical before he jumps back in.
And I think those are really good points, Brownie. And I do think that the Oilers were quite physical tonight. They out-hit them. If Kings need to continue playing 9-4, which I see no reason why they'd be able to change it, it's going to pay off for the Oilers in game 5, 6, and definitely 7. Let's get to the goalie conversation. Let's start first with Kemper. Obviously, he was quite busy. Busier as the night went on. I thought he played pretty well, but just relentless pressure in third period and overtime, and you're going to crack.
Well, you know what, Strud? I thought today in the third and overtime's the first time you saw the Kemper and what he's capable of doing, and especially in overtime. That game should have ended 5 times in overtime. The Edmonton Oilers had grade A scoring chance after grade A, and Kemper stood on his head. He did everything possible to give the LA Kings a chance. That was Kemper's best game of the series. By far his best game of the series. I mean, 33 shots in the last 40 minutes for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, they were dominant, and Kemper gave them a chance. So we saw tonight what Kemper's capable of. But if you continue an onslaught like the Oilers did, eventually something's going to find its way past you. And for the Edmonton Oilers, 3 times in the last 40 minutes it did.
Shoggy, you want to jump in on the goaltender? I guess the flip side of that would be Pickard. Not super busy as the game went on, but some timely saves. And I thought especially early, and then on some of the PK, he was in the right spot at the right time, and gave up 3 goals. Save percentage was above 900, which is what Oilers fans have been screaming for.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm just messing with my light. Yeah, I mean, I think from where it started to where it ended up, I think that was certainly, it was certainly a lot better. Which one was the, just grabbing my notes here again. Which one was the one that was it was the bad one? It was just kind of right through him. That was the first one, right?
The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a tough one, like right through him, just right through the wickets, 5-hole, not a great goal to get started. But then all of a sudden they're down a couple. LA, if they grab a 3-0 goal, I don't know. I mean, the Oilers probably still come back, but I think that Calvin Pickard has been. I think he's made some timely saves. I do not think we're in a position here where we're talking about the Oilers goaltending being good enough yet, though. I mean, and all due respect to both of them, to win playoff series that are tight against good teams, you need to have like really good goaltending. And I would say so far to this point in the series, it hasn't been good enough. Yeah, Brownie?
Sure, Schauger, I'm going to disagree with you. I think the Oilers goaltending and Calvin Pickard has been good enough. And I think the LA Kings are a very good hockey club. I think they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. And I don't think it's been great, the Oilers goaltending. But if I was to look for something to say about it, I would say Calvin Pickard has been good enough. And in the big moments, the third period of both games and overtime, he hasn't let anything in. So to me, I think he's been good enough. And to me, I mean, he'll play game 5 and just keep going from there. But the Oilers do not need great goaltending, but they need good enough goaltending. And I think Calvin Pickard's given them that.
But wouldn't you prefer not having to dig out of holes in games? And
that's not on Calvin Pickard. That's on the team was terrible to start the game. I think Calvin Pickard. He's letting in less goals than the guy on the other end, who's going to be up for the better.
Both things can be true at the same time, Brownie. Both things can be true. The Oilers, there were individual mistakes on all 3 of their first 3 goals. You can point to individuals on all of those goals, but you can also say it's tough to have a goalie letting in a bad goal early in a game because now you're chasing the game. So both things can be true. And when you have goaltending that's good enough, you're not consistently letting in one of those every game. And Pickard has let in one of those in both of his games.
No, see, I disagree because I think he's been good enough for the Oilers to win. And that's what I go with, good enough. He is good enough. He's not great, but he's good enough. And when he needs a save, he's made the save. So, I don't – they're not going to get great goaltending. The Oilers don't have great goaltending. And Stuart Skinner in the first 2 games wasn't good enough. But Calvin Pickard has been. And I give him full credit the way he's played. That first goal, that's a tough goal. But go watch all the games around the National Hockey League. Every goalie is letting in a bad goal here and there. But Calvin Pickard, when the team needed him to make a save, he did. So to me, he was good enough for the Edmonton Oilers to win. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't want to overstate it here, Struddy, like I'm just completely blaming Calvin Pickard for anything. I just think, like, to get where they want to go, the goaltending is going to have to get better, like the team is going to have to get better.
Yeah, so I'll say this, is that I agree with Brownie. It's been good enough. The challenge is that Cal Pickard has a ceiling, I think, of what he can do. They need Stu Skinner to find his game because I think his ceiling's higher. I truly feel that. Right now, though, they can't play him because this guy is winning. This guy being Pickard. So to me, he plays game 5. There's not even a question about it. So I think it's been good enough. But I think there's another level they can get to, because neither of these guys are going to win them a game. And I feel like last year there were games that Skinner won on his own. Not many, but there were some.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think much like, I think a big topic for this Oilers team right now is figuring out how the heck do you bring third period down by 2 goals or overtime intensity, to the first period of a game that is really important. So how do you capture that? How do you, as a group, be better sooner, get to your game faster? And I just think that on the goaltending front, I think it also applies to the goaltending. I think they need to be better earlier in games so they're not all having to dig out together. I think it's on them too.
Yeah, makes sense. No, listen, I hear you. And I guess the start could be better, but I'll just keep hammering on this. The short bench the Kings are playing, I think that the Oilers have to try to just keep being consistent. And I'd like to see better starts, but being consistent over 60 minutes and get to them sooner, because the way they sat back tonight was crazy, absurd. How much the Kings sat back in the third and overtime, guys.
It was horrible. That's part of the reason why the Oilers have 4 starts is the Kings are playing real hockey to start the game. The Kings are good. To me, this coach has lost. If they lose a series, it's on the back of this coach. And the going into a prevent defense, they have dominated games, and then they stop playing the same way when they get into the third period. That's why the Oilers comes on. LA's tired, but they're playing a prevent defense. You know what? It doesn't work. I know it doesn't work because it hasn't worked the last 3 years. So this is poor coaching on the part of the LA Kings, sir, with a challenge and the way he's using his players and the way he plays prevent defense in the third period. To me, it's going to cost them the series again.
Yeah, I think that's all pretty fair. And I think, from the challenge on, you talk about a turning point in this series, and here we are, it's 2-2. So there's a lot of road left to happen here. And remember, the LA Kings, they're pretty darn good on home ice. But I think that's fair, Brownie. I think that we've seen in back-to-back, and it's, in these scrums with Jim Hillier, like with the local media that follows him, there are a few people that have been challenging him the last couple of days about sitting back. And he pushes back. Well, what were the chances in the third period last game? And, he has a playful banter with them. But this is a familiar, I think he's heard this from the local media that follows him around too a little bit here. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can find a little bit more aggressiveness, Struds, to close things out, quite frankly.
You can't sit back. So either got to stretch your bench out or, take I don't know, shorter shifts, whatever, but they can't sit back like that. It does not work. And we saw it obviously more at home, more on the road, because they're under pressure. The first 2 games, not quite as much, but man, it cannot sit back. And that's what's killed them in the past. Brownie's 100% right. And it was so obvious. There was at times 4 people on their blue line, and the Oilers were chipping in, and they didn't get it every time, but when they did get it, it was ground and pound time.
Brownie?
I talked about it before the game on Chad that this is Jim Hilliard. I don't understand it. I really don't. If you dominate games, why would you change the way you play? I mean, the Oilers weren't getting chances. They weren't getting odd man breaks. They weren't getting 2-on-1s. The LA Kings are a very good, smart defensive team when they're forechecking. The weakness of the Oilers. Okay, well, actually, I'll do it in a much more positive way. The strength of the Oilers are their forwards. If you are going to get on the Oilers and try to stop them from winning hockey games, get pucks in deep and force the defenseman to turn the puck over. Get their offensive forwards playing in their own zone. The only way you do that is by forechecking. Struds could come out of retirement right now and beat the 5-man neutral zone defensive structure, because every Oiler defenseman gets to skate all the way to center and dump it in. Yeah. And it makes zero sense. And now you're getting Doughty and Edmonton and Galikov and Mikey Anderson. You're getting them all to turn around and chase pucks and get hit. And now you're spending time in your own zone. If you're a defenseman, you want to stand at the offensive blue line. Every once in a while, the puck comes rimmed around, you shoot it back in. That's when you can rest your defenseman. Seriously. Yeah. You don't rest when you're chasing Connor and Leon or getting run by Colson or Kane. This is, and I said it last year at the end of the series, and I'm saying it again, this is the worst coached team I have seen. They are a good hockey club, very good hockey club that are poorly coached.
Struds, I'll just hop in quick, buddy, because someone sent us a note asking about Jim Hiller postgame. I guess now we didn't get into the press conference room in time to listen to him, but I found the clip that everyone's talking about on Twitter here. So we'll just see how much we can hear it off my phone here. So 1 second. Hang on. Let's go. There it is.
How do you change your approach in the third period to better close out games?
How do I change it? Next question, please. We're that far away on the empty net. Q chips that one out. Bouchard makes a good play. We're not even talking about this. So.
Okay, so he's not loving that. Struds, what do you make of that?
No, and I agree, but Ryan Marsh made a really good point, and I don't think you heard it, Brown, is that he said it wasn't that they maybe changed their tactics, is that they were tired. And so they couldn't get up the ice as much as they wanted, except on some individual breaks. If you reflect back on the last 40 minutes, anything that they created had to be skated in off the rush. They weren't really dumping in. If they dumped it in, they just backed off. So someone had to carry it in, get up there and work themselves. So I thought that was a really good point, that it was fatigue more than choice that they weren't forechecking.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And that's, again, on the back of the coaching staff that decided the defenseman that played 16 minutes a night during the regular season all of a sudden can't play come playoff time. So he's overusing his players. Trevor Lewis he's a Stanley Cup champion defensive conscience. They can't get him on the ice. It makes no sense the way he's running his bench. But those players, I watch up top, Kuzmenko. He looks to go in, he turns around, oh no, he points, okay, back to center. And they stand there. And then now they spend the whole period in their own zone. Now, again, Jim Hiller was right when he said we were 30 seconds away from winning the hockey game. But they spent the entire period in their own zone. Entire period. They have given up, and I'm going to talk, they've given up 12 goals in the third period of this series. And every game they play prevent defense. It doesn't work against the Oilers. And it didn't work the last 3 years against the Edmonton Oilers. He can say whatever. This has been a horribly coached series by the LA coaching staff. This team is too good to be playing the way they're playing in the third periods of hockey games. And I will stand by that 100%, whatever Jim Hiller says.
All right. Struds, you ready to wrap it up?
We are. Wrap it up. Yeah.
You handed the conch back to me with me in the home office here?
We've done everything. We've got the poll. We've done takeaways. Just a scoreboard if you want to do it on the way out the door. If not, we can do it later.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's wrap up the segment. That was Takeaways, brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. When we come back, we will get to Brownie Points and Struddy's World. Take a lap, ask us anything. Lots still ahead here on Got Your Back. Our numbers, boys, over 1,000. We rang the bell, I'm sure. Hey, Zuby, we rang it earlier?
Oh, yeah, you bet.
Love it. Well, keep it ringing, man, because we're still sitting up there. And that's just YouTube alone. So thank you so much for tuning in. It's crazy hours, 1:15 in the morning, over 1,000 flipping people live with us on YouTube. What are you guys all doing? Lots more shows still ahead.
If you're considering a vinyl fence, don't be fooled by cheap marketplace imitations. Get top quality vinyl fence from a trusted company with 20 years in the industry. With locations in Calgary and Edmonton, check out dlrvinylproducts.ca.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
All right, time now for Brownie Points, brought to you by Humel's Premium Jerky. If you're craving bold flavor and an unbeatable quality jerky made with prime Alberta beef, made and sold right here in Canada, look no further. The April special continues, $97 for 3 pounds of jerky, and as always, free shipping Alberta-wide. Every purchase of the Alberta special also earns you a draw for some Got Your Back merch. Visit albertajerky.com to see more. Rob Brown, sir.
All right, well, we just touched on this, and I'm going to continue. I've got minus 12 brownie points to the LA Kings coaching staff. The Kings have dominated all 4 games over the first 40 minutes and built leads by being aggressive on the forecheck and forcing turnovers. And then for some reason, they play a prevent defense in the third, getting away from their strengths of their forecheck and staying away from the Oilers' weaknesses in their own zone. The Oilers have scored 12 goals in 4 games in the third period, while the Kings have played their prevent defense. It doesn't work. I've got 65 brownie points. To the Edmonton Oilers, there is no team in the NHL that is better than the Oilers when the goalie is pulled. They have too many weapons with too much time and space to make plays. If the Oilers are within 2 goals with less than 3 minutes to go in a game, the Oilers are still in the game because they can pull their goalie. They are the best. I had no doubt in my mind that they were going to tie this game up tonight. I got 4 big brownie points to Leon Draisaitl on his 4-point night. Big-time players come up big at the biggest moments. All 3 of his assists were primary assists. And then he scores a huge goal on the PP on a goalie that had just made 6 or 7 huge saves to keep LA alive. That was vintage Leon Draisaitl tonight. I have 36 brownie points to the Oilers' Jekyll and Hyde D-man, Evan Bouchard. There were some spotty moments defensively early in the game, but when the team needed to mount a comeback, Evan was a huge part of that with 2 goals in his 36 minutes of ice time. The biggest play of the game may have been when he kept the puck in the zone as Quinton Byfield tried to ice the game by clearing the zone. Evan Bouchard showed why he is such an important part of this team in the last 35 minutes of this hockey game. And finally, this is one we talked about as well, 20 brownie points to Corey Perry, who has played so well these playoffs that he has forced himself into the first line, which allows Chris Knobloch to build stronger lines throughout his forward group. Not sure the Oilers had planned on having Perry on their first line, but tonight he played 20 minutes, had a goal, 4 shots, 4 hits, and accidentally on purpose landed on Darcy Kemper. It was vintage Corey Perry tonight. And those are my 2 games to 2 games in this series brownie points.
Love it. Love it. I told you would forget to take the brownie points away from me this show, Brownie. I told you.
Oh,
and it's too late. Segment's
right,
over. That was brownie points brought to you by Humel's Premium Jerky.
Damn. I knew I'd forget that too. I got a terrible memory.
That's okay, buddy. That's okay. Love it. No dispute on any of those, Struddy. I think he nailed it there.
Yeah, great one. That was a great little run.
Okay. We're getting late, so let's just keep the show going. Zuby, roll the animation. Let's do Struddy's World, bud.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy. Gotta look good.
All right, time for Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. As Alberta's #1 vinyl product supplier, they offer top quality materials to build a fence or deck that won't rot, fade, or fall apart. Canadian owned and operated, locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Visit dlrvinylproducts.ca or go check them out at their shops in Edmonton and Calgary. Buddy?
I can't believe it. I can't believe what John Klingberg is doing out there. The way he's moving, the way he's handling the puck, contributing to offense, his confidence. I don't know how he has this offensive concept with the puck, considering how much he's played, not just in the last two months, the last year. He has barely played. Yeah, if he had to slip up behind the net, he threw a grenade right in front, and luckily his teammates bailed him out, his goaltender. But the plays he's making with the puck is really impressive, and it's changed the look of this defense. Imagine if they had Ekholm back there. I know there's fans, I hate to do this. That's like saying, imagine if my hair grew back and Schrager's hair grew back. But it is incredible to think what it would actually look like if they had everyone there. And that's no disrespect to Ty Emberson. The only thing, and I watching him live today, it's hard when he is being attacked one-on-one. His feet do not move the way he wants to, or they used to, and you can see he's under pressure and he's on roller skates. But maybe that'll come over time. I'm not sure. But when he has a puck on his stick, he's in complete control of the situation, and you could tell that Connor and Leon both like receiving passes from this old dog. So I can't believe we're talking about this, guys. But John Klingberg is a must play every night for the Oilers.
Yeah.
You're right, Strud. And you know what? You make a good point, too, because when they made the signing, they expected Ekholm to be playing. So all of a sudden you have Ekholm and Bouchard, you have Nurse and Wallman, you got Kulak and Klingberg. That is a pretty good set of defense. Like, that is really good. And the players nowadays it is amazing what they're capable of doing after being all out for so long. The type of shape they're in, the mental strength they have. Like in the last little while, we watched Evander Kane miss 10 months and come back, maybe a little rusty game one, has been dominant the last two games. Hasn't played in 10 months, and his first games are in the playoffs. Klingberg, how long was it? A year? Whatever. He was gone. Comes back, has some bobbles, pulls some things, comes back. Again, in the middle of a playoff series against a very fast LA team, looks incredibly comfortable out there. Landeskog in Colorado goes 3 years without playing a game. His first game is in the playoffs, and he had a goal and an assist last game. The level of athleticism and the type of shape these players are in nowadays is incredible. And John Klingberg is just a really good story. And I agree with you 100%, Struds. He ain't coming out of the lineup. He is a difference maker in these games.
So let me ask you this, because, it's at a certain point, a decision will have to be made. Would you consider keeping him, signing him? And depending on the fix and the hips and everything to last. It's one thing when you're in a cap crunch and you're desperate and you need to find a solution and, you take a flyer on a guy. It's another thing to bank a couple years on him. I respectfully am probably not placing that bet on multi-years and contracts just because of the uncertainty and the extent of the injury. But what do you think, Struds?
I haven't really given much thought, so I feel like I'm unprepared here a little bit. No, well, just because it's a pretty big conversation, right? On a 1-year deal, I would do it. Mm-hmm. As of right now, but I need some time to think. So I'll give me a
price
chance
matters
to
too, right? Price matters too. Because at 1.7, and that was when they had no idea what they'd get from him, and they got him at 1.7. So if he has a good playoff here,
he hasn't looked this good the whole time he's been to Oilers. These last two games are his best two games. So I can't believe it. So I respectfully, I'll say I need some time to think about. But off the top of my head, I'd say 1 year. Because of the hips. Brownie?
I'm not assessing anyone on 2 games. we'll watch the rest of the playoffs and then assess them at the end of the season. Because, everyone could have a couple of good games and they fall off. There was a lot of people that were in love with Jones when he first got traded here. This is exactly what we needed. And then later on, we're like, he cannot play in the lineup. So I think I'll wait till the playoffs are over to see if he can continue this kind of play. But he has been very good, and it has been noticeable of what he's capable of doing in these games.
Smart. All right, Brownie. Thanks, pal. We will chat with you after game number 5, which is set to go Tuesday night in LA. Thanks, pal.
All right, sounds good. Night, guys.
All right, see ya. Okay, Brownie shutting her down for the night. Struddy, before we get to our final break, let's go to the scoreboard brought to you by Canadian Club. The all-new CC Classic 18-year-old high proof comes in at 58%. Their highest proof Canadian Club Classic to date. It's a full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel, toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with a butterscotch finish. Buddy?
Yeah, big night around the league here, troops. Let's start with the Jets and the Blues. Hellebuck loses 5-1. Yeah, the team lost, but he gave up 5. The Jets actually scored first in this one, which is mind-blowing. So that series is at 2-2, heading back to Winnipeg. Hellebuck has not done well on the road in the playoffs recently. So down 5-1, 24 shots for the Blues, 5 goals against. Yowzers.
Yikes.
Goalie issues there. Hey, not easy.
And it's gonna follow him. Like, he's got to shake it, Struds. He needs to have an awesome game where he's just tight start to finish, or it just keeps following him.
Yeah, I've had a friend who, I won't say who, but a former NHLer friend of mine text me, not a goalie, and said this guy's never won a big game in his life. And it's an interesting comment. Whether it's fair or not, here we are talking about this situation with him. Next up, Hurricanes take it to the Devils 5-2. They're up 3-1 now in that series. I said they'd win in 3 games, so I think I was a little bit off. And then Washington gets over the Caps. Caps get over the Habs 5-2 in that one. Pretty close game to start. I was watching quite a bit of it, and then they got away from them. So the young Habs, I'm not saying just happy to be here, but I think honestly just making the playoffs was quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, Brandon Duhaime with 2 goals in 13 minutes and 16 seconds of work, 5 hits, 6 shot attempts. Nice little performance from one Brandon Duhaime.
Yeah, the third. What is he? Third? I think he's 4th liner there. Penalty killer.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, that's your scoreboard brought to you by Canadian Club. One more quick break. When we come back, we will take a lap and get to ask us anything as well. So stay with us here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
All right, time to take a couple laps, brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction professional and you are looking for work in Western Canada, they want to hear from you. One of Canada's original industrial contractors. If you got your resume ready to go, send it over to trades@acon.com. That is trades@acon.com. Looking for skilled tradespeople and construction professionals to join their team. Struds, we're going to keep it fairly Oiler focused here. Big game tonight, big win, so we'll keep it focused on the Oilers. Okay, let's run through where the Oilers landed on their lines. And I assume you think that would be a good place to start. But let's make sure that we got them square in our heads first. We had McDavid and Draisaitl with Corey Perry. And you had Evander Kane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in the middle, and Zach Hyman over on the other side.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Now, what was the Frederick line? Frederick ended up with, was it Henrique?
And Brown?
And Brown, is that where that ended up being?
That's what I had, but I mean, it was changing. It was moving. There's some movement there.
Yeah, then was it Janmark with 33 and 92 then at the end?
That's generally who was out there. Now we're not talking about 100% of the time, but generally that's where it was at.
Yeah. What'd you like?
I've said this before and I'll say it again. It takes Knobloch a little bit of time to figure out what the right combinations are. And I think because he hasn't seen a lot of these guys in regular season together, I think he's trying to do it out. Now, Brownie made a great point. The ability to play Perry on top with the two big guys, it allows them to bump more talent down. And I'm not suggesting Perry's not talented, but it's just a different look. Now, in that spot, we saw Kane take some shifts. We saw Hyman obviously take some shifts, but Perry's there quite a bit. The second line with Kane and Hyman, I don't love Kane and Hyman together, but I think this is the best option right now. Trent Frederick, I think he could be more physical and playing with Henrique and Brown. I hope he finds that, but I feel he's skating pretty well, but he's really not hitting. So I don't know if he's maybe getting there late. And then the fourth line, that is what it is. You got Paul Colson and Arvidsson who are working actually I should say Janmark and Paul Colson are working to try to get the puck to Arvidsson to shoot because he wants to shoot everything comes close to him.
Mm-hmm. I actually liked Frederick. I think it was good that he was usable in overtime. And I think it was good that he was usable late in the game. Like he actually got some shifts. And that was part of why the Oilers had fresh legs. They were rolling those lines. Everybody was engaged. Everybody was involved. And he was part of that, Struds. I thought he skated well.
Yeah, I think he skated really well. And he's credited with a number of hits. I want to see some heavier, drive the net hard, be harder in the corners. Physicality. I was having a debate with a friend of mine who's online quite often. That lasts a while. Physicality doesn't express itself by just blowing a guy up into the fifth row. It's about being heavy around the net and winning puck battles on the wall. And so it can be both. I'm not saying it can't be one or the other, but it needs to have that. And that's what I want to see from him. Getting the puck from A to B to the net. And Paul Colson, same thing. Now, he didn't play as much, but having the ability to play all four lines, especially when you look in overtime compared to what the Kings are doing, this almost becomes a survivor type series. And the Oilers are positioning their players to be fresher later on the series.
I mean, Zach Hyman's got dozen hits on the board in this game tonight. Vasily Podkolzin finishes with 7. Bunch of guys with 5. I like Podkolzin too. I thought he was hard on some guys. He did a better job getting there and banging people than Frederick did for the number of hits he's got on the board here. One other area I wanted to ask you about, fourth line center here, bud. Matthias Janmark got absolutely cleaned out in the face-off circle badly, 0-8, 0%. I don't know. I'm not suggesting or advocating for a change, but that sucks. When you have a fourth line that you feel you can't put on the ice off of a whistle or a D-zone draw, or that's hard. And I wonder if that doesn't bug a coach enough that for the matter of 10 minutes and 12 seconds at even strength,
and I don't even know what it was through regulation, never mind overtime. Do you drop a right-handed center in there that can win you some draws and kill a penalty?
Derek Ryan? Derek Ryan or Philp?
It would probably be Ryan, I would think. Hey,
yeah, and I think that might be an option for him to look at. He does like Janmark, and I think he likes his speed. I really think and he's a penalty killer, right? So I don't know that Ryan, if you bring him in and put him right into a penalty killing role, although he's done it for the Oilers for the whole time he's been here. So I think that's maybe the limiting spot. I think that when you go to LA, you might see, it's hard at times if you ice it down. It's not ideal, but I think you might see maybe if it's a D zone face off, you start with someone else as the center, then he changes when he comes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. I'm just thinking quickly, is there someone else you would take out instead of Janmark? But I don't
think there is. And you still have Skinner sitting there.
18 minutes for Connor Brown. Yeah, yeah,
I think it'd be.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a challenge. I think these are the lines we'll start with. We'll see starting on Tuesday night. And the team's won twice, 2 games in a row. So I guess you could pull out. That's the problem.
Janmark or Frederick. It'd be one of those two. Janmark or Frederick. It'd be one of those two.
And I think that
Peter Bauer says. Yeah, Peter Bauer says Ryan can do everything Janmark can, except he can actually finish. But I agree with you. Frederick needs to keep playing. He's I think he's going to continue to get better as he gets healthier. All right, that was Taking a Lap, brought to you by our friends over at Acon. Let's get to our Ask Us Anything segment. Zuby, we got to wrap the poll though first, correct?
Yes, sir. Let's do
our
it.
De Boers Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we just asked, should the Oilers have challenged the Warren Foegele goal? 59% say no. And maybe that's maybe they would have felt different in the moment. It worked out okay for the Oilers. 59% said no. 40 said yes. 450 votes. Still 850 on the stream with us here. We were over 1,000 for the better part of the show tonight. So excellent. And I only had to boot one nasty Kings fan, and then the chat got into a much better place after that. So
okay, we had a little troll action happening.
Yeah, just kept going back to he says that McDavid and the penalty in overtime hooked the guy hooked Gavrikov's leg to trip himself, sort of. It was like, and I just kept saying the same thing over and over and over again. So, and too many people were feeding him. Don't feed the trolls, people on the stream. Just leave him. I don't mind if it's just there in the chat. Anyway.
Can you imagine how much we'd be talking? Well, people would want to be talking about refereeing or officiating if the Oilers had lost this game tonight. It would have been. It would have been a major, because, man, even in the building, it was in on a few of my group chats with friends and cousins and stuff. It was just like exclamation marks and question marks and capital letters and mayhem. But anyways, we don't need to get into it.
No.
We can move on. Let's get to Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. Founded in 1976, they're a full-line distributor, providing quality wholesale electrical products for use in industrial, commercial, and residential settings. Proudly owned and operated in Edmonton. Visit bjelectric.ca. All right, Zuby, let's speed through some of these.
Okay, yeah, some good questions here tonight. Something probably a lot of folks noticed this, but Canadian pointing it out. Draisaitl passed off on 2 prime scoring chances tonight, once to Bouchard in the second, once to Klingberg in the third. Thought that was notable and interesting on if he's feeling 100%. And I think we know he's probably not, but maybe is it worse than we might think, Schauger?
Well, I mean, he didn't play towards the end of the season, so I think we know he's nursing something. I don't know that it has to do with his shot. I'm not sure if I see that. I thought I saw him last game, maybe stretching out the shoulder a little bit and such. But yeah, Struds, best goal scorer in the league this season, prime opportunities and passing off from the slot. McDavid did as well.
Yeah, and I think it's also about trying to change the angle, right? Trying to get the puck going across and trying to shoot when it's open. Because I remember exactly these 2 plays you're talking about, and especially on the Klingberg, there was the goalie, and I believe there was someone fronting him. So I don't think he thought he'd get it through, so he's trying to slide it over.
Yeah, that's a good call. Quaddy asking Struddy a little more depth on the third LA goal. Him feeling turnover was not the problem. That's a risk we get with him, right? It was when he started skating backwards. If he turns and skates with the King, doesn't get behind. It was an awkward kind of play. I felt like Bouchard made the read, even though he lost the puck, made the right read to start getting back. But what happened there? Can you give us a little bit more detail on what you saw?
So Evan Bouchard, much like Leon and Connor, have to be giving rope that they're going to make some amazing plays sometimes when they're trying to beat guys one-on-one, but there'll also times where it's not going to work. And so if I'm going to give latitude to Leon and Connor, I have to give the same to Bouchard. So did his turnover lead to a chance against and a goal? Yes, it did. There's no doubt about it. But you need to give that player that ability to do that. Yeah, he could have got back a little bit quicker, and some of his people around him could have helped him as well. I actually didn't love the goal. Zuby, you can maybe chime in on that. I didn't think it was actually that hard of a shot to save. But I think that's with Bouchard, you have to accept that. It's just like you have to accept bad penalties from Evander Kane, right? Or whatever. These are the things you have to live with when you have a guy like that. And as I was watching that, I was thinking that that's the truth.
Yeah, it's not a goal Calvin Pickard probably loves. It's through the 7 hole there, but anything that goes between your arm and your body, you're not super happy about because it means your position was there, but maybe you just weren't as tight as you could have been. Right. So, and it wasn't it wasn't like a crazy move. It was just backhand, forehand, and yeah, go ahead, Sean.
And so just to clarify, we can both nod in agreement that there were 2 goals that weren't great for Calvin Pickard tonight. Yet you'll back Brownie in a discussion about the Oilers goaltending being good enough.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
No, so the first goal, I'll actually challenge you. Nurse and Draisaitl are on the same guy, and the guy jumps off the wall. And now we saw that in another game where I defended those 2, where the other 2 had flown the zone. So that was a
why
really
can't there be a? But why can't it be that the goalie let in not a great goal and players made not great plays? Why can't it be both, Struds?
Because
wasn't it both?
No, because when a coach watches it, he says that should never happen. These are 2 veteran players who are in their 10th playoff series in 4 years. You cannot get beat off the wall like that. It just can't happen.
Okay, but if you do, is it fair to expect your goaltender to save that puck?
Why can't it be both? It just shouldn't happen. It's just like you get into an accident when you're texting with driving.
That's convenient. That's convenient.
I agreed with you already, so I don't want to get into this all over again. I said it can be better, but it's been good enough to be because Kemper isn't killing it at the other end, right? He gave up 4 goals tonight. He gave up what? He's given up a lot of goals. The guy's going to win the Vezina. So it's been a high-scoring series, but it's been good enough, but there's a way to go better. And I think, unfortunately, the reality is the way to go better is with Skinner. He has a higher upside.
And on that goal, that's a bad goal. Pickard saw something. He thought it was going higher. You could see his first move was up and then down. Squeezed it through him. So I think he was disappointed even in the way he read that one. So, but your point is understood about why they got to there, Struddy. Gabriella wanted to talk about, when you guys talked about the lines, I don't think we talked about the D pairings as well. She says, can they talk about the need to split Bouchard and Nurse? They cannot play together. I think later in the game that had happened because it was Klingberg with Bouchard more. I mean, that was obviously them trying to get a goal back. But what did you guys think of the pairings and what are they going to be next game?
Yeah, no, they did. They moved away from Bouchard and the big guy, Nurse, and they had different groups going out there, and it was mixing around. But I think part of it needed Klingberg out there to try to get back in that game, right? They needed to get offense up the ice. So Emerson didn't play a lot tonight. I think he was sub 10. But when you have 5 guys that can all play over 20, that's what's happened.
Just taking a quick look here on natural stat trick at even strength. So he played. Evan Bouchard played 846 at even strength with Brett Kulak, 73% Corsi. He played 831 with Darnell Nurse, 44%
of the shot share. So a big swing there in terms of which direction the play is going when he's on the ice with Kulak versus Darnell Nurse. 65% in 755 with Jake Wallman. So, yeah, notably down numbers with Darnell Nurse. Fair point by you.
Interesting thought here from Dallas Scarlett. He says, how much does that error by Byfield on the 6-on-5 goal eat away at a young player's confidence? We talked about how good Byfield was in the first 2 games. We mentioned he was quiet in Game 3, and now a big mistake in Game 4. Are his fortunes turning as a key player for the Kings here, Struddy?
Home and away, right? I was thinking about this earlier because he wasn't great also in Game 3. So is it, he's a young player. He has to understand to carry that same game into the road games you do at home games. Or away games. But it was interesting, guys. I was watching today. He talks quite a bit on the ice, and Klingberg was, of all the guys, John Klingberg. He said something to Klingberg, and Klingberg started chirping him and was kind of falling around the ice after a whistle. And it's funny because you see him; he looks so mild mannered. You can see he was quite irritated with Byfield giving it to him over that time.
Yeah, he's still learning, and there's going to be up and down moments still. And we saw a young moment, Struds, a critical turning point moment in a game tonight off the stick of Quentin Byfield.
All right, I got 2 more and a couple of shout-outs I'll throw in before the last one, but let's go here. Machine Gun Leon asking, what's the protocol for the Black Aces? I know they get bag skated, but do they get time with the regulars or coaches for timing systems, etc.? I think Philip Savoy, or Deneen can help soon. What do they go through, Schauger?
They're not on the ice with the main group. They separate them off. I'm not sure, Struddy, how often they would be skating, and the guys that are not close to being in the lineup type guys, if they still run them through tough skates every day and such. They're at the games. We see them upstairs, see them around a little bit. I think to a degree. After the game, they're kind of lined up, I think, for high fives of the guys and stuff, but certainly nothing practice related for the game prep, Struds.
Yeah, you don't want too many guys on the ice. It just gets it's a mess. But they do. At least in every team I played on, you keep them game ready because you never know if you need them. And then if you think you might want to insert someone, you might pop them up to the big group to practice. Because okay, we got to see these guys and kind of get them ready. But yeah, generally speaking, they're practicing. It's more skill skates for them, but they're also battling in case they do need to get popped into the game.
Avi Hoffman pointing out 9.25 goals per game in this series. You could have made some money by taking the over in all 4 of these games.
Crazy.
Before we get to this last question, just our stream, excellent stream tonight. Very international. We got Tyler in Melbourne, Australia. We got Brian Spiele live from Norway. He said his first time joining live on the stream. Of course,
my peoples. Little bush on a hill. Yeah.
Of course, starting over at 61 in Mexico, DJ Regier in North Dakota, Nathan Bennett in Abbotsford. Of course, we got only one Blom tonight, but we got Blommer out in Vancouver. And there were, and of course, Hank 809, who I said he was in Tokyo. He's not. He's in Nagano, Japan. And he's always with us here. So very international. Appreciate all of our folks coming in from around the world. So here's a question that got asked a few times. And Marta in Poland, my motherland. Excellent. A lot of people ask this. I'm going to give the credit to Nathan. Nathan says, Struddy still stand on Kings in 6. How are you feeling about that right now, Struddy?
Well, I said I can't change my prediction. That's what my prediction is, because that's just wrong. You're going back and forth. But I don't feel as good about it as I did before. I think that there's a couple of things that we're seeing, and a big one to watch is this whole ice time situation.
Yeah,
for the Kings.
All right. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. Let's wrap up a late show with our play of the day, brought to you by Gallery Dental, offering a full range of services designed to keep your smile healthy. Their experienced team provides personalized care with the latest tech to make sure you get the best treatment. Contact Gallery Dental, YEG.com. What did we end up? I forget. What did we go with?
It's the hymen thing, the from the
Oh,
morning.
goodness sakes. Yes, yes.
Let's make the show
did
a
you
little
catch this
longer.
today, Struds?
I saw it not till you sent it in. No.
Yeah. So basically what happened, and I'm not going to throw the reporter under the bus. I'm not saying his name or whatever. It was a goofy little mistake, so it's not the end of the world. Basically what happens here is Zach Hyman gets asked a question, and then the reporter who asked the question got a tap from the PR staff because there was another player waiting for him that they had brought out. And so he just left in the middle of Hyman's answer. And so what you will see is Hyman start to answer the question and then his reaction. It was an all-timer. Man, did we howl. Go ahead and roll it, Zuby.
Okay. You touched on special teams a little bit there, but at 5-on-5, it seems like you guys are controlling a lot of the play. How are you guys finding success at the strengths of the system?
Well, I mean, obviously there's a lot of familiarity with our team, so we're very aware of. He didn't like your answer. He didn't like my. He didn't like my. I've never had that happen before. That's hilarious. Okay, well, I guess to the next question. We'll roll to the next question. Who's got a question? Well, I don't know. We're good, I guess. What do we got?
Zach, do the Oilers need more of tonight over Game 3 to win tonight?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, yeah. It was a Struddy. Like, maybe you had to be there a little bit, buddy. We literally, we were howling through the rest of that interview, man. It was so funny.
I've never seen anyone leave after asking a question. Must have been a fire somewhere he had to go put out.
You know what? They had a great interaction after. The reporter chatted with Zach. They had a laugh about it. Totally innocent mistake, but it was pretty funny. Anyways, that'll wrap up the show. An interesting one. Struds, how was Marshy in the first segment? I didn't hear him, but I couldn't hear it. But rock solid, eh?
He brought it. He had a really good insight that the Oilers are wearing down the Kings, and that's why they weren't able to forecheck as much in the third and overtime. That was great insight.
Stuff.
The fatigue factor. I like that. That's coach's perspective.
Yep. That's why we have him on. All right, that's a wrap. Good job tonight, guys. Thanks to all of you for joining us on the stream. We really appreciate it. We'll chat in a couple of days after Game 5 in Los Angeles. Have a great night. See ya.